You're a very empathetic soul, but this is the ED. It's not for the faint of heart.
What do you need to get some basic empathy back? Charged! Clear!
We all need help from time to time. Even the occasional miracle.
The most important thing?
I could use a second set of hands!
Because I will never stop offering.
I tell myself that every day.
Noah, Jeff in Las
Jeffrey.
Vegas. Oh, it's so good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
You know, what an incredible whirlwind you've been on. You know, Emmys, Critics' Choice Awards, Golden Globe, everything. It's just your life has changed dramatically, hasn't it?
Yes and no. You know, I'm happy to report at the tender age of 54, I've kind of figured out what makes me happy and what makes me tick. And they tend to be very banal, very grounding things like, you know, making breakfast for my daughter and driving to school or doing this and that. What's different is going to the supermarket. You know, that's become much more of an interactive experience than it was last year. But aside from that, you know,
As long as someone doesn't say, "Is there a doctor in the house?" You're okay at the supermarket, right?
well, with increasing delusion, I start to respond to the call now as
Well,
if I could actually do something.
one shift, one season. Season two, we're about 10 months later from the first season. And choosing the 4th of July, it's America's 250th anniversary, but what a holiday where ERs are probably jammed more than any other time of year. What insanity that was to choose the 4th of July for the ER.
We bandied around a couple, you know, Halloween, also big night, obviously, New Year's Eve, big night, Super Bowl, big day. Full moon Saturday nights tend to be pretty busy, but we wanted to cast downstream enough time to have Langdon come back from his recovery process. And 10 months is about the minimum that a physician can go through a recovery program and come back and be reinstated. So that dictated the amount of time. And then the 4th of July just lends itself beautifully to a range of cases that go from the comical to the extreme. You know, when you mix alcohol and patriotism and fireworks, you can get all sorts of creative injuries.
You know, I'm always reminded of Jack Lemmon when he did Days of Wine and Roses. He would have scenes where he would not be able to come back. The crew and the director were trying. And I know you have some of those moments, especially in the first season. Did you have any kind of delusions? You know, did you get so lost? Because I know we were on the other side of the camera, but did you have difficulties with some scenes?
Yeah, you know, it's an interesting difference between making movies and doing a TV show. You know, the experience of doing a movie is so finite, and you know, you play these scenes out and then you don't play them again. And you know, it's the aggregate of doing a TV show of a 5 day a week, 14 hour a day, 9 month a year commitment to basically create only 15 hours in a single day. You're painting with such a fine brush and you're doing it over such a long period of time that that is the challenge. You know, the specifics of the scene work, you know, usually aren't difficult if you're in, you know, if you've prepared properly, but the difficulty is in keeping your energy and focus over the long haul so that when you watch these things, if you did watch them as a binger, you wouldn't see that this was on a Friday and this was on a Tuesday, this was in October, this was in February. You know, it all looks like it was the same day. That is a very particular challenge the show presents.
Well, writer, producer, star, now you're getting behind the camera. Did you not have enough to do already?
Classic OCD or micromanager, one of the two. You know, directing is something I've really fallen in love with over the last few years, and in some ways seems like a natural progression to everything I've been doing the last for a while. I love the opportunity to work with all the different departments. I love the opportunity to try to pull all those people into a singular sort of focus. It's the most collaborative job on set, and it's the one that allows you to have the most education in all the different aspects of filming, from pre-production to casting to production to editing to scoring. You know, it's a wonderful creative journey. and I love it. So I hope to do more of it. And it worked out well this year. You know, I didn't want to do it in the first season. I didn't want to Orson Welles my way through this and try to say this is a one-man show. I wanted to make everything feel organic to the storytelling, and so far so good.
Well, it was important to shoot the show in LA too, wasn't it?
Super important to
Yeah.
me, to John, to Scott. Not, you know, we all live here, but we've also made our careers here and have extended relationships with generations of talent that are going through a really hard time post strike, post fires. You know, this industry is shrinking rapidly, and it's all being exported not just to American states with competitive tax incentives, but you know, tax shelters all around the world that don't necessarily even work by our labor and union protocols. So it's a very precarious time in our industry. And to bring 9 months of work, employing hundreds of people on a studio show and have it be profitable and prove that it's economically feasible if you do it right, to continue to do this model in LA has been really gratifying.
And what's really unique is that the crew absolutely adores you, and the cast does, because they dubbed you Daddy of the Pit. Is that a term of endearment, or
Never heard that before.
you never heard that? I've
Never
read
heard
that
that.
all online. Everything says
No, never heard it.
never heard it.
They must whisper that behind my back. I wouldn't stand for that.
Now we know the medical community has embraced this show, but what about the city of Pittsburgh? I mean, have they embraced it?
Yes, yes, yes. Each time we've gone back, they've thrown their arms wider and wider open to embrace us. They've been extremely accommodating about letting us film in the locations that we use, and increasingly accommodating in letting us license some of the things that are intrinsically Pittsburgh, like their sports franchises and some of the restaurants, so that we can put more of that texture of the city into the show. I maintain that the more specific you are in one location, the more universal that experience becomes. Every city has a Primanti Brothers sandwich. They just call it something else. And so that texture is super important to our narrative.
Well, Noah, congratulations, and third season already in the works. You know, thank you so much for your time today. And real quick, do you ever go home in your scrubs?
Uh, no, but I don't need to, because I've certainly stolen enough pairs over the years that I have plenty here to put on when I get home.
Well, Noah, thanks so much. Congratulations, and let's talk again soon. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Pleasure.